Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio. This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio for Monday, August 15th, 2022. I'm Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. Leader of the AFC, Kemraj Ramjatan, a former fierce defender of the lopsided 2016 oil contract signed under the coalition administration, has now joined the call for a renegotiation of the deal, citing that the lessons learned from the sector has proven the need for the country to secure better terms. He admitted that the former administration erred by agreeing to the terms included in the contract, but insisted that the government was pressed to make a decision that could serve as a new revenue generation stream, as the other traditional sectors were not performing well at the time. On Saturday, Ramjatan attended a consultation hosted in the US where he attached his signature to a document in support of renegotiating the contract. Former chairman of the Police Service Commission, Paul Slow, said that the damning allegations of bribery and corruption against the Guyana police over the gunning down of Ricardo Fagundes, called Paper Shorts, should not be investigated by any member or unit of the Guyana Police Force. He said this matter should be seen in the wider national security context and as such called for an independent investigation. Fagundes was gunned down outside Palm Court Club in Main Street, Georgetown in March 2021. A Sergeant Dion Bascom, who was earlier this year removed from investigating the killing of Fagundes and transferred to another location, has since alleged a grand cover-up by senior ranks of the Criminal Investigations Department of the Guyana Police Force and payment of a large bribe to a named officer as part of the cover-up. Meanwhile, more allegations have been brought to our attention that detectives investigating Fagundes' murder were tipped off by an informant about the driver of the getaway car used in the hit, but they had never moved to arrest the suspect for questioning. The suspected getaway driver is no stranger to the law, and although the police allegedly did not pursue leads to detain him, a few months after the killing, he landed in hot water for illegal possession of a firearm and ammunition. He was charged and remanded to prison for the offense. It is unclear if the detectives had questioned him about his alleged involvement in the death of Ricardo Fagundes. And in other news, a $1 million loan from the Inter-American Development Bank is expected to provide critical training and certification to public procurement officers in the National Procurement Tender Administration, as well as ministries in best practices and public procurement. For this operation, the IDB intends to contract consulting services for the certification of 120 government procurement officials at public procurement level 1, bringing the trainees in line in terms of capacity with what is needed for a modern procurement system. And moving on, in wake of concerns being raised by small and medium-sized businesses about having to wait as many as 6 months to receive payments for goods and services already provided to oil and gas companies, ExxonMobil has not only admitted to forcing companies to wait for several months to receive their pay, but is also defending the lengthy waiting time. In justifying the extensive period in which businesses wait for their payments, President of ExxonMobil Guyana, Alistair Routledge, said that the costs are subject to a rigorous process which is an accepted norm around the world, and that their clients have the assurance of being paid despite there is no definitive timeline. And now let's tell you, The Guyana Water Incorporated on Sunday blamed an almost two-day disruption of water in the capital city on a major breakage on a 20-inch transmission main at Church Street within the vicinity of the Indian High Commission. In a statement, GWI said technicians toiled throughout the night on Saturday to effect repairs under difficult circumstances. The water company said many of the transition mains within the Georgetown pipe distribution network are approximately 100 years old and are prone to breakages, particularly under the pressure of heavy-duty vehicles. As such, it is a continuation of works undertaken in Newtown Kitty and Cemetery Road to replace and upgrade the old pipe infrastructure in the city. The time has now moved on to 12 hours 7 in Guyana. We'll return after the break.
Crazy. It's easy like 1, 2, 3. Can't believe all this money for me, money for me. I got to get the CASH. That's the code for the vault, so let's play. Top up with 1,000 and the next day you could be a millionaire. Did you say?
More than 15 million to grab this summer. Top up with $1,000 or more to collect the letters to spell CASH.
For a chance to catch millions in the Digicel's cash vault.
Top up today.
Digicel.
Wanting to protect your family during these difficult times of COVID-19 is natural.
Stay at home, wash your hands often, and don't touch your face.
Yes, Daddy.
But are you doing these things too? And do you practice social distancing? Do you keep 3 to 6 feet away when you're shopping? Or at least stay an arm's length away in the supermarket? Remember, children learn from adults. So if you're not obeying the precautions, neither will they. We have to work towards the new normal together to keep our families safe and protected. Be part of the solution, don't add to the problem. Teach by example and do the right things.
A message from the Child Care and Protection Agency, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, and UNICEF.
This is GHK Lal, inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues, immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Back. Let us continue with the news. Police are investigating the circumstances which led to the murder of 19-year-old Owen Young on Saturday evening at Perseverance Housing Scheme, East Bank, Demerara. Young, a resident of the said housing scheme, was killed during the early evening hours. His death was the end result of a long-standing feud between him and the suspect. The feud escalated on Saturday and erupted into a street brawl and ended with Young being brutally stabbed to death. Meanwhile, a former fashion model in St. Kitts and Nevis was killed Sunday morning in a car accident along the Linden-Soosdijk Highway. The dead woman has been identified as 35-year-old Natoya Narain, a mother of 2 and a resident of Plaisance, East Coast Demerara. Also injured in the accident were her young daughter and her boyfriend. Narain was reportedly the driver of the car traveling along the highway when she lost control of the vehicle. And in other news, the Ministry of Public Works has issued an invitation for bids to undertake another project at the Cherry Jagan International Airport. According to an advertisement, the ministry is seeking to construct a storage bond and workshop at CJIA. The engineer estimated that the project would cost some $37 million. Just recently, Minister of Public Works Juan Edgil disclosed that the construction at the airport will continue even though Chinese contractor China Harbor Engineering Company has completed its part under the $150 million airport expansion contract. We had reported that with over $166 million already pumped into the expansion of the airport, citizens should expect more of their taxpayers' dollars going towards the continued modernization of the airport. And in other news, the Ghana Gold and Diamond Miners Association said it is extremely pleased that the Fiscal Enactment Bill number 2 of 2022 was on Monday last approved by the National Assembly, which gives major tax incentives to the sector. The bill, which was successfully piloted by Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Rashni Singh, will certainly give much-needed tax relief to all miners. And with the time now moving on to 12 hours 12, we wrap things up with the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News, dedicated to, of course, being blunt. IDB Report, Part 3. Costs incurred by Exxon are subject to a high degree of judgment by the oil companies. Disagreements between the state and the oil giant are likely to be frequent. The IDB did everything that it could to warn Guyana's leaders. Be on guard. Don't get complacent. Don't take anything for granted with what oil companies submit as their costs. A high degree of judgment means this. Oil companies will lean only towards that which fills their pockets, swells their profits. If they have to play games with costs, they will. If the result is that 10 times out of 10 that Guyana will end up on the wrong end of the cost stick, then that's too bad. Once we, Exxon and partners, rake in the billions, that is all that matters. Also, the IDB wisely cautioned about the company's judgment on costs being the likely source of frequent disagreements. In other words, this is where trouble lies, where oil-producing countries get shafted and cheated. PPPC government leaders seem more interested in aiding and abetting, slavishly agreeing with Exxon, than challenging the company on anything, including billion-dollar bills. Exxon cheats us, leaders conspire with it. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching